Hope you all had a great meal. It's time to begin with the second section on natural behavior of native livestock species and their welfare. I would like to start with Dr. M. L. Kotresh, Principal Scientist, NDRI, Qatar, on stage to present his thoughts on social living in cattle and buffaloes, implications for welfare and production. Thank you, Kotresh.
So, welcome everybody for this second session. And, I am going to speak on this social behavior of cattle and buffaloes and how it can be used for improving the welfare and performance of the area. So, here in this the morning session, it was being discussed that science should find solution to the animal welfare issue. So I am trying here in this presentation some of the research that has been conducted at our institute to offer some science-based solutions to the animal welfare problem, especially through harnessing their social behavior. So social behavior so we all know that cattle and buffaloes or all of our farm animals are social animals. Social animals means they like to live in groups, like to live together. All males, females, young, old, calves, bulls, steers. So they have to be under natural living situation. They have to live together. When they live together in a herd or in a flock, they are less fearful of the novelty. They are more productive due to the phenomenon of social facilitation. One animal starts doing something, others are also prompted to do the same thing. So therefore, they will eat more, they will produce more, and they will be more healthy, more happy and more happy when they live together. But under our management systems, we cannot keep young, old, male, female, everything together. We have to separate them, we have to group them based on some parameters, some homogeneous way. So when they are separated, they cannot fully satisfy their social need, and especially focusing on the social behavior and their social needs. So when they are separated from their group mates, their herd mates, their mothers, their other of the same group, they are stressed, they are frustrated, they are bored. That leads to deterioration in their physical health, mental health, as also the development of so many behavioral problems that we call as abnormal behavior, especially the stereotypic behavior that the animal keep on doing repeatedly, such as cross-sucking, bar biting. There are so many tongue rolling, eye rolling, so many stereotypic behaviors that are expressed when they are not in the company of their own or the company of their mother. So it leads to impaired behavioral flexibility, lower governing capabilities. Also, they are more reactive to the lower stimuli. So we should try in our modern management system, production system, to keep the animals together so that they realize some of their social behaviors, if not all. So realization of natural behavior is also one of the freedoms of animal welfare. So if we are to develop those management practices and tools so that the animals are able to realize their behavioral needs. So we can see from here also these are the mothers which have been separated from this their calves, and they are under stress, they are restless, they are vocalizing, searching for their mother, not feeding, not eating, not ruminating. That's helping their affecting their productivity as well. These are again the animals separated from their calves. So these are the buffaloes are with their calves, the cows are with their calves, and they are more appear to be happy, contented, not feeling any frustration or stress. So this is the now bulls also. Under modern production systems, we keep the bulls separated, one in each, because two bulls cannot live together. So therefore, they are housed individually. When they are housed individually, they are not able to interact with their other bulls or males or other females. So they are frustrated. There is bad environment. There is no instrument of the environment. So they lead to agitation, so much of frustration, and high stress level, and they become very aggressive. And compared with the other bulls, which are along with the females, they are calm, quiet, composed. Maybe their emotional state will be much better as compared to these animals. So when the animals live together, male, females, young, old, together, they make social relationships. As we in human society have social relationships, same way the animals also develop social relationship of say, dominant, subordinate between the members of say males. One hierarchy, females is one hierarchy. So there are several hierarchies of dominant relationship in a group of naturally living cows or buffaloes or even other farm animal species also. Here dependency between the mother and the young stock, sexual relationship between the males and females, leadership follower relationship when they go for grazing or for milking, and also human animal relationship is also very important. So when under modern management, of course, under modern management system, HAR is also very important. So they develop all these relationships. So based on this, we can say that naturally people say that man is a social animal. Aristotle said it 2,500 years ago. So if we study their social behavior of the animals, their social structure, their social organization, we will find that the animals are much more social than humans. So that saying is say in modern perspective, when we understand the social behavior of all of the animals, books have been written, there's a lot of information now available on the social structure, social hierarchy and everything. So it's, I think, wrong to say that only man is a social animal. The animals are also highly social animals because they have so many relationships. When they relationship means they influence each other, they stimulate each other, and they affect each other. So under modern production systems, the kind of relationships that are important from welfare point of view, as well as from animal productivity, profitability point of view, I have delimited 5 relationships, or 5 facets, I call them as 5 facets of social life. One is cow-cow contact, dependent on the social hierarchy. Calf-calf contact, again the dominant relationship between the two animals of the young of the same sex. Calf-mother contact, calf-bull contact, and human-animal contact. So I shall be discussing each of them, how they are affecting the welfare and the production. Cow-cow contact. When we cannot keep one cow individually, but we cannot keep all cows together, so we have to arrange them, keep them in groups of high producer, low producer. We make such kinds of groups. All animals, in fact, have to, under modern management system, under low system housing, have to be kept in groups. But under our old systems, the traditional smallholder production system, farmers are mostly keeping the animals tied. When they are tied, they cannot express their freedom of movement. So first violation, they cannot express so many of their natural behaviors. So they cannot respond to the social stimuli. So therefore, we try to minimize the adverse effect of keeping them under man-made system by keeping them loose. And when we keep them loose, we have to group them based on some criteria, production, physiological state of the male or the female. So under this system, loose system is much better as compared to tie system, but they have freedom of movement. But still, They are restricted in a place. They are not full opportunity to roam about freely. That cannot be. So that will be available only if we keep them on a pasture situation. So the ideal situation will be a huge house plus opportunities for grazing. That will get the maximum marks as far as welfare is concerned. Under this system also maternal behavior is not expressed because calves are not along with the mothers. Sexual behavior is also not expressed because males and females are separated. There is stress from shifting from one group to another. When they introduce from one group to another, they have to fight for this hierarchy, so that's again becomes very stressful. So under blue system housing is not absolute solution, but it offers much better solution as compared to tile housing. So tile housing is very, very problematic and loose housing has so many benefits. It gives comfort, the ease of movement, the improved health of the couch, lower incidence of joint and other injuries, more natural living, allowing expression of social stress, play and other games. So many of the behaviors animals are able to express in the system. Along with it, there are economic benefits also. There is lesser cost, there is a lesser utilization of labor also. If we shift from tie to blue system. So prevalent situation, that is the, if we assess the welfare, the speaker in the morning session was saying the parameter has not been studied for measurement of the welfare. So we developed protocol in which housing got 10 points out of 100. So this is the maximum weightage that has been given to system of housing. That is very, very important for ensuring proper welfare of the animal. And 10 out of 10 is given only when the animals have blue system of housing. Along with that, it has the possibility for grazing also. So when we keep them loose, we can ensure their welfare and higher productivity if we follow some standards. There are BA standards, there are FO standards. Standards say that there has to be a sufficient line spacing, there should be sufficient floor space, feeding space. The group composition should be ideal 50-60 in case of adult cows and buffaloes, I was speaking. Group size, group composition. So if we give them all minimum line space, feeding space, group size, composition, then there will be competition within the members of will be less. Aggression, level of aggression in fighting will be less. So that will lead to better social stability. There will not be aggression, conflict in the group. The group will be stable, and that we have to ensure within the blue system of housing. Now another, the basics of social living is calf contact. One calf has to live with the other calf so as to satisfy its social needs. But what happens under modern production of system? What is happening? They are separated at birth and kept in individual calf houses. I call them calf cages, as in case of poultry, there was a cage system. So this system is prevailing still in Delhi. It came from Western world. We adopted it. Many of the calves, up to 8 weeks, they are supposed to be kept individually, and later on maybe in groups. But it has so many problems. So we investigated. One group was kept individually, one was in pairs, and a third was in a group. And we found that the calves which are in group, their learning ability is faster. The calves which are in group, initial learning as a learning due to Y-based test, their memory is much more as compared to those which are living. Because the individually housed calves, they did not learn from the penmate, they did not learn anything from the mother. Mother is the best teacher, first teacher. So mother teaches them how to feed, how to rest, how to coping strategy. So they are devoid of mother contact as well as the contact of the other calves. Therefore, all these problems, their abnormal behaviors of licking any animal, licking cross suckling, licking, all are much more in the case of the group individually or pair house calf as compared to the group house groups. So these early experiences, if they are separated or they are kept in group, has long-term effects. When they grow up, there is a decrease in the milk yield. There is a more aggression. If they are socially housed initially, there is less decrease in the milk yield, there is less aggression, and faster establishment of social hierarchy. So initial social experiences have long-term effects. Another contact that has been identified is calf-mother contact. So this is again very, very important relationship with the relationship of mother with the calf. And soon afterwards there is a bonding happens between the mother and calf due to the smelling and all the other effects, and that is a lifelong attachment of very long duration. And a permanent bond gets established with the mother and the calf, and the mother will be helping in initial feeding of the colostrum, helping. So it gives safety, security to the calf, and confidence to the calf, and the calf will be licks, which promotes blood circulation. So it gives warmth. So it has so many advantages. Mother touching, that's very, very important. But when we separate them, that is missing. And when we separate from the other cows also, they're totally independent living in this world. So that is the most problematic area. So this bond is a permanent one and a very important one. So if we separate them, mother and the calf, what will the effect? Decreased immunity. They will not be suckling colostrum as much as is required for the development of the proper immunity. There will be poor weight gain, the calf will be more under stress, and their social life, reduced social skills. They will not learn how to cope with it will be difficult to mix them with the newer groups. It will be, when they will be mixed in other groups, they will be social ranking will be low. So there are so many adverse consequences on the production side as well as on the health side, obviously, welfare side. So in one of the experiments we tried, in one group there was no mother contact. Another there was restricted contact and suckling were there in the morning, milking, and in the evening milking. And in third group, the calves were with its mother throughout the day. Maybe initially for a colostrum period, full time within the mother pen, and afterwards, after 5 days, when we have to milk the animal, then they are separated. Mother and the calf are separated with a fence. There is fence in between only, and they can interact through the fence with the child through pheromones, or through they can localize. So the mother can lick also. So we try to study their effects up to 5 days. There is the calf will suckle on an average 20 times on the first day, and maybe 16, 18, 12 times. So when it suckles repeatedly, it suckles a lot of colostrum, and that gives its initial boost to its energy level, its immune status becomes very robust, and it suffers almost from no disease. That is the crux of the problem. Under our management, when we separate it, they don't consume the required amount of colostrum, and that if their immunity is poor, their growth will subsequently be poor, there will be more disease incidence. We saw this stress level through this cortisol in the blood serum, and you could see that the stress level is much, much lesser if the calves are in their mother. Heartbeat and temperature, respiratory temperature are also lower. Time spent on line. The calf will suckle its mother and go for rest. Again it will suckle small amount of colostrum, go for rest. It will be resting for about 20 hours out of 24 days. So therefore it will become very healthy, and it will grow at a very fast rate. Colostrum intake, you can see that if there is no mother, they are separated, they can give only 1 kg. If they are brought morning, evening, they are allowed to suckle 2 kg. If they are throughout the day with their mother, 3 kg. So 3 kg I think is sufficient to provide enough immunity, enough energy. Because people have recommended up to 4 to 6 kg of colostrum. So when we are separating, their immune status is weak, their growth will be much poorer, they will be suffering from so many health issues. Their immunoglobulin level, immune status, glucose, calcium, phosphorus, all will be better at their, in case of the calves which are in their mother contact. So now, if the calf is living with its mother for 5 days, full time. Now if we separate them, mother and calf, it will lead to so many problems. Now we have to, that contact has to be maintained. How we can do? We can maintain that through a fence. We cannot allow now free suckling of milk, because milk is required for us also. So therefore we put a fence in between and then see the effects. Dry matter intake, feed efficiency is better, intake is more, Again, immune status, growth hormone factor, cortisol level, stress level, and neutrophil lymphocyte ratio. That's again a stress indicator. So stress indicators are lower, immune status is better, growth factor is better. Time spent on resting and standing. They rest a lot more as compared to those which are separated from their mothers. Abnormal behaviors, practically no abnormal behaviors when the calves are, you can see this curve touching the bottom everywhere. So no abnormal behavior if the calves are with their mother. Every daily gain. You can see the initial boost about up to 800 grams per day. The colostrum, 3 colostrum has provided to these calves. So that high level of growth is maintained. Now, mother side effects. These are the effects of keeping in contact on the calf. Then mother side effects. Mothers will also be very happy if the calves are with them, and they spend a lot of time, more than 100 minutes, on keeping this contact, repeatedly licking their calves. And calves, and they will be across the fence. They will be interacting, and this contact through this and this. Those which are separated, they will be searching for their calves. They will be vocalizing under stress, finding their calves, kind of lot of time in headouts and in vocalization. Now the mothers which are in the calf contact, they secrete much more prolactin, which is responsible for milk secretion. Therefore, their milk secretion also goes high. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is less. Time spent on resting of the mothers also. You can see they do not have to search for their calves, they didn't vocalize. So they will be calmly, very happily resting along with their calves on the other side. So rest is again associated with milk production. The cow need to rest about 12 hours a day so as to produce a good amount of milk. So these cows will rest much more and produce much more. Primary intake and milk yield is also high. So I will see the actual milk production data of these cows. So this is a group which in baseline contact, more than 10 kg. Here is 7.7 kg. Another experiment 8.2 kg or more than 11.6 kg. So on an average, 30 to 40% more milk in case of calves, cow mothers, which are kept along with their calves, and so many parameters of healthcare parameters also improve, productivity also improve. Another important contact is cow bull contact. So this is again when the cows and males and females are together, they influence each other. When they grow up, they become mature. Then the very established phenomenon. One of my other colleagues, Dr. Sanjay, will be speaking much more on this. I am just passing through it. So this contact can be either through a fence line or direct into the paddock. Now we have seen that analyzed both these Sahiwal cows in Murad in series of say 5 experiments continuously, and we have seen that the direct contact is much more important because the animal, the bull can mount, sniff, can walk along, feed along. So this is much more important as compared to the. Although fence line also gives a lot of benefits, but direct contact is much more important. So we studied Sahiwal cow, buffalo heifers, growing heifers, 2 groups. So the heifers were selected at the age of 14 months, and they were kept along a side a bull. So their growth rate became higher, their density of nutrient increased. So they grew faster and come into heat for the first time. They attained puberty on an average 4 months earlier. Both in this Sahiwal cow as well as in Amura heifers. So it improved the age at growth and affected the age at puberty. In case of their reproductive performance are also better. Their expression of behaviors, natural behavior is one of the pillars of animal welfare, freedom. So these cows, otherwise they may not have expressed these sexual behaviors, or they must have expressed to a much lesser extent. But when the bull is present, they will express all their sexual behaviors, allowing sleeping, maturation, allowing chin resting, allowing mounting attempts, much more in case of direct contact than contact, and very less in case of no contact. Stress intensity is much more. So both in Sahiwal and Murad, duration of stress and duration of standing stress, both are improved. So duration is improved, duration of standing stress is improved. We can detect the animal at right time of stress and can be inseminated at the right time, leading to higher conception rates also. Then calf, cow and calf bull. Now we are talking, earlier we were talking of calf, mother or the cow, bull. Now all three, calf, mothers and bull. So one side there will be, in center will be mothers, one side calf and other side there will be a bull. So we try to imitate the natural living situation where they live all together in a group. So the reproductive performance of these, in case of buffaloes, you can see that they came into stress at about say 2 months of age, when that is the ideal time when they are required to be in heat after calving. If the cows or the buffaloes are with their calf, it has been reported in science that delays the onset of stress to the extent of about 1 month. Because suckling is a natural birth control device in our species. So as long as the calf will suckle, they will not come into it. But in this case, the negative consequences of suckling has been taken care of by the presence of the bull. So they now came into heat after calving within the normal about say 2 months of Same way in buffaloes also, which were given diet context. Here we can see that those buffaloes which were with their diet contact with the bull, they came much earlier. The time is duration is almost double from the first stress. Same in case of Sahiwal cows also. So another very important context is human contact. Naturally, under man-made systems, humans have a very lesser contact with the animal. Under our traditional systems, when we have small number of animals, small order systems, when the ladies or the children take care of the animal, there is a much more human-animal contact. But under modern systems, the contact is very less, negligible. Especially when the hired labor takes care. If a farmer himself is managing, he will be having some contact with the animals. But hired labor will not be having a very, especially in the government system, that will be almost lacking. So the first experience the cow comes into human contact is during first parturition and first milking, first handling of the teat. So when their calving takes place to a heifer, and it now has to be handled, and then colostrum has to be milked for the first time, udder has to be touched, teat has to be touched. They are very, very fearful. So they will not allow, they will jump, they will try to hit, they will try to fight, and then not one person, 2-3 person will come, one will hold it from front side, one from back side, and try to beat it, control it somehow, and then finally they will tie its legs and try to milk out the colostrum. That is the first impression of the animal for human animal. And the first impression is a very bad impression, and it has lifelong consequences. Now every time if you have to milk that cow, you have to tie its legs. So in this process, the milk letdown process, that does not happen properly. Letdown time is problematic, and the milk secretion goes down, and the lactation length is also reduced. So many of the heifers even do not settle. They will go dry after say 15 days, 1 month. So many. More than 50% of the heifer, if they are not handled properly, they will go dry because of the problem of milk ejection failing. So when we tried in one of the experiments, we took heifers, and one group was given a gentle stroking on the back, neck, and the body, some brushing, some rubbing on the ears and the tail base. And after within say 20 days, the cows, if you go to the gate, they will come rushing toward you. Otherwise, they are very fearful, they will run away. But now, they themselves came close to the house parents and competed with each other for first touch. So there are so much a relationship got developed between the students and these cows. And what we saw, Say, with human-animal relationship without animal. You can see that after 1 month, only one cow required a milkman growth, and here 5 required. Initially, all 7 required. Without human contact, all cows required use of milkman growth. And here, say, really, the milker was changing. If the milker remains same, there will not be a problem of any use of milkman growth. So we can completely avoid the use of milkman growth if we develop some human touch, develop some contact with the animal. Their milking behavior is better. Letdown time is less.
Thank you so much, sir. I invite Team Brook India kindly come forward to present shawl and bouquet to Dr.
Brook team.
M.L. Kapoor.
Brook team. Mohiti sir, of you. Some doctors, some Brook India doctors, come. मोहिती सर अरे नहीं आप ही come close out, come close. नहीं ये बैकग्राउंड में लाइट आएगी तो
Thank you, sir. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Pawan Singh, Principal Scientist, NDRI Karnataka, kindly be on stage to discuss the behavior of native cattle and buffalo bulls and strategies for improving their welfare.
So, good afternoon, everybody. I thank the organizers, especially Dr. Vijay Pal Singh, for organizing this one-day workshop and inviting us for delivering a small talk. So, as I said, that my talk is on behavior of breeding bulls and strategies for improving their welfare. When we see the breeding bulls, Dr. Kambo showed that how they are kept. If they are not given proper space, there will be boredom, they will not be happy, and their welfare is not met then. So when we see the scenario of the breeding, the semen production and breeding bull in our country, we see that we have around 125 million bovine breedable population, we call it. And we have 25 million sperm does, 125 million, and only 4,200 breeding bulls we have in the country. Whereas we require around, this is rough estimate, 150 million doses. So we are deficit, and we also deficit in the availability of the quality bulls. when we see, this had been talked much about the 5 freedoms of the bulls, these animals. So the same things applied with the bulls also. But our approach towards the animal should be sensible and sensitive. We should be quite sensitive while dealing with the animal. Dr. Kamboj showed the animal-human interaction is very important, and the same thing is here in case of bulls. So you can see some of the pictures of, this is my student's work, Swetambari, she recorded this. We have enriched some of the shades of male young cows, and you can see how they are playing with the enrichment in terms of the rubber tire was put there. And you can see the interaction how this calf is having with me here. And then you can see, this one talk about that the productivity has a relationship with the welfare. So when the welfare is met, the productivity will be highest. So you can see if animal is maintained naturally or in a wild way, so the welfare is like this and production will be minimum. Welfare is also not bad. When we increase reaching the welfare status by providing some good things like extra cooling, extra space and thermal comfort and the bedding material to the cow, to the animals. So this is maximum. But if we keep on continuing getting more and more production and we do not take care of the welfare of the animal, so it will be minimal here. So this is, we have to keep all the things, and this is done by the economic thought frameworks in London. They have visualized this way, and then that's why the welfare becomes more important here. When we see the sexual behavior, we talk of, this is an innate behavior in the animals, and this ability to identify females, Dr. Kamboj very well illustrated that how these bulls can detect the stress, which we say only 50% of the animals are detected normally. But when we use bulls, more than 90% animals can be detected, and the capacity of mounting the females. How this the sexual drive then is measured, bull ability to respond to the external stimuli, but we in arena environment we are keeping them, and their capacity to service. But and then on the basis of these, bulls are ranked on the low, average and high performer in terms of their libido. And then intensity of sexual behavior or drive is also regulated by the genetic makeup, which has around 0.3 to 0.4 heritability, means genetically regulated. And then physiologically, when animal is under stress, then the libido and sexual behavior will also be affected. And then what kind of environment we are providing them, that is more important. Now you see how this sexual behavior develops in the young animals. So you can see that this is the experiment we conducted at NDRI, and we found that they start mounting around 12 months of age in case of the fellow males. This is the age where their behavior start developing. But we have also seen at the same time that this is all depend on the animals feeding and management, what we are providing to them, and on the basis of that, they attain early sexual maturity, we call them puberty in young and sexual maturity in the little more older animals. So they express their behavior in terms of their sexual capacity of and mounting and all that. This is the study I was talking to you that we conducted, and we found that they started mounting. This is the age at puberty. The intensity of mounting, hormone level increase, and we call it a bull male has attended puberty, and they can donate semen at 18 months of age, and they can attain sexual maturity at 25 months of age. These are the pictures of our experiment. Now, when we see the different sexual expressions shown by the males, you can see this is a particular kind of response shown by the males. This is in almost all mammal species. We can see this filament response, and this is regulated by the pheromones released by the females at the time of their cyclicity. This is not only in the old, but this is also in the young. You can find it at early as this thing. And it is also in the as I said, across the species it is there. So in Ceballos also it is there, Burra, and they are leaking the urine. So this is also another symbol of displaying this anti resting. Also one of the response shown by the females, and male get stimulated at that time. This is again, they are mounting, because we are keeping them in the control. So control breeding it is called, that's why how this is semen is collected, and this is the way of we are doing all. We don't use them as in natural way. This is just to compare, to show you that how the different breeds differ in their sexual desire differently. And this is we generally take reaction time is a major component in that, and you can see the indigenous bull, crossbred bulls, exotic Jersey cross Saiwan with Saiwan here, and the buffalo. So you can see the reaction time. This is minimum in case of exotic bulls. Here it is crossbred, but it is still less than our indigenous animal. And other score also. When we see the seasonal difference in the sexual behavior, again, it is there in across the breeds. It is high during these are parameters summer season, and incompatible season it is less. When we see the improvement in bull sexual behavior by using means of stress females, for example, there are sometimes we get some males which they are not that good in libido and mounting. So we use, as I said that we are using in control breeding system. So we apply some bulls, they were not mounting at all. We apply the cervical mucus, stress mucus discharge on the back of the other male, and we spray of the pheromones. It is synthetic kind of pheromones available. So we could get 75% of the bulls they donated by using pheromones and also by using cervical mucus discharge on the back of the. So this kind of technique we can use to improve this libido of the bulls. When we talk of strategies, this is the main emphasis we have been seeing from the morning. So you can see the husband practices, stockman, we have been always talking, feed, water, physical environment, and health of the animals. So these all are important, and we should take care of them if we want to get full animal behavior is met. So these are some of the pictures we have taken from our institute herd bull section, and then you can see the mats are being provided, water facility, bulls are sitting on the mat, they all are sitting on the mat. So this is one of the minimum facility we are providing to them, and this is the area where we are collecting the semen. So sand is being provided so they don't get sleep, and they put full thrust at the time of collection. They feel comfortable during the collection. And also the regular showering we are doing. We are washing them every day before collection and also during summer season regularly. And these facilities in their pens, we call them. This is the way we are doing all this cleaning, brushing, and we keep them clean as much as possible. Grooming is being done. This is also regular phenomenon here for the bulls. So they feel happy, comfortable, and will donate semen, quality semen, in a better way. This is how their roots are being kept in good conditions. These are the dedicated people, they are trained, we have handled them carefully. This is how their nutritional hairs are being cut. This is how they are being offered with good quality lush green fodder every time. And then this is how humidity measures. We have put the fan and the shower system, and the shower system on every bull. And this is the way protecting them during the extreme winter season. At least it is for 1 month here, but we provide them thermal comfort through discomfort from the cold waves. And this is the area where the young bulls, they come out during the all seasons and they play there, they mount on each other, this is just to meet their welfare requirement. And this is the exerciser. We provide them exercise regularly, as I said, to all the bulls. So this is by chance picture of the Sahiwal bull. These sounds lead. This is one of the indicators that welfare of the animal is met. So you can see the body condition score of all the, and this is buffalo males, young males, and this adult Sahiwal bull. This is all I wanted to present before you. Thank you very much.
डाइवर्सिटी एंड इंक्लूसिवनेस कॉटरेज बच्चे
ग्रुप करवा लीजिए।
यस एवरीबॉडी कम टुगेदर
सर यहाँ देखिए
तालियां
थैंक यू सर। गुड
Ray, Veterinary and Animal Sciences University. Sir, please be on stage and give your thoughts about cow post-stimulus effect on behavior and welfare of cattle and buffaloes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Vijaypal sir, for inviting me and giving this opportunity to present my first lecture after getting job. And I also give my thanks to Dr. Pawan sir and Pambo sir for improving my welfare by presenting my whole research work. So, but I have some, I'll present little bit only because all of it has been presented. But I have some, that these cattle and buffaloes, as Pambo sir said, these animals live in the groups. And their social group is comprises of calves, heifers, adults and bulls. And if we are keeping them together, so this has a benefit. It is similarly like one of the most important benefit is the social buffering. Now, what is social buffering? Social buffering, it is just like we were outside, we were having the lunch, we were enjoying, we were talking together, we were calm and quiet, we were enjoying our bajra khichdi. So that was giving us a comfortable and calmness. So that is calming effect. When the animals, social group animals are living together, that is resulting into the social buffering and resulting in the calming effect. And that ultimately improves the production, behavior and the welfare. Without behavior and welfare improvement, production cannot be improved. It is how? I'll explain in just some slides. And if we are breaking these, then the most important negative consequences is the over-aggression. And this over-aggression leads always to the cortisol increase and the redirected behaviors in these animals. And if these redirected behaviors are occurring, you can imagine if you are fighting with your family members, how you redirectly behave with your children.
Example?
If you fight with your wife, you start slapping the children. so that is redirected. So similarly, if we do this, that is a loss of breaking the social living system. Now, what our modernized systems or institutional system is doing? They are doing? For the improvement, for getting the more milk production, what they are doing, they are separating the calf immediately after the birth. It is going outside. Now, after more than, you say, 1 year or beyond that, the bull is also out from the female. Now female is alone. Is it fine with us? So that we have to separate them? Is it good thing for these animals that you should be living alone? No. I have one question for you. Please kindly think about it. Whether separation improves production, reproduction, behavior and welfare? Is it? No. I have data also proving yourself that our average yield per day per milk has not improved yet. after separation also. Then why we are doing this? Then reproduction. Reproduction, it is very bad condition of with our animals. 40 days age at first calving, 40 months. So farmer has to keep to all the 40 months without any production, without any economy. So we are not at all improving production and reproduction. Now comes to the behavior. In behavior, there is chances more huge incidence of large incidences of silent estrus in our indigenous and buffalo. Then now recently I have gone through the literature and I have seen that in our indigenous animals as well as in our buffaloes, lack of bellowing sound means they are not producing any sound. Why they should produce a sound? There is no bull, they know. Kyun bulana? They won't call it. Earlier, if you find any dairy farm, you will find lot of bellowing sounds when they are in the estrus. Now it is not there. Because they know there is no bull. Why to waste energy? Then nymphomany condition is there. Aggression, poor estrus expression and resulting into the increasing in the age of estrus and poor ovarian activity. Now toward the male side. Recently, I gone through one paper in that 25% of incidences of masturbation in the bulls is there when they are early separated from the female animals. Then this leads to the poor libido, aggression, and all other negative consequences which has Composer and Composer has already given you. Now, if we see the welfare approach, we have three most important states: affective state, biological functioning, and natural living. Now, I'll try to give this concept with the biostimulation. Now, if you see there is an affective stage, then this biostimulation, I think it will cover all the three things. It is natural, it will help in the biological functioning, and it also improves the affective state of the animals. So, if we allow just a contact of a bull with a female animals, we should not separate them. We just give them through the fence line contact or a direct contact. It will improve all their welfare. And in the 1901, he was the first scientist who was studying this male contacts. And he said that if the bull, in later on the Chinovath and Falls and Angerford, they defined it that the stimulatory effect of male on the female cyclicity through genital stimulation, pheromones or other lags defined external cues is known as biostimulation. But there are a lot of definition of biostimulation also. People are using biomolecules of estrus. That is not a biostimulation. Basically, biostimulation needs to be worked through all these olfact. There are 4 cues basically. Olfactory देखना जरूरी है उसको, smell करना जरूरी है, visual, then auditory sound should be there, then tactile. All these together will allow this biostimulation to function. So earlier, before this concept of biostimulation, earlier there was a community bull concept was there. What used to happen in the villages, the one bull used to always come at the door of the farms. And the female used to call if it is in the estrus, the male used to detect it and it used to give some signals. The farmer used to get that my animal is in the estrus or okay, I need to give artificial insemination. So this concept with our modernized and this institutional system, it has been lost now. We need to restore it. If we are not restoring this, at least we allow the contact with these animals, male and females. So this system all work with these pheromones. So already Sir has told that the role of biostimulation in reproduction, that it improves puberty, sexual maturity, intensity, all of these things. So it is the most important thing is that it is clean green technology. Nowadays consumer awareness is more, and people want more organic systems, organic food. But this system has no, because people to synchronize the estrus, we use lot of chemicals, and that ultimately goes into the milk, and that is maybe affecting, as Sir was saying, that animal production. People were saying we need to improve plant diet systems. We are not how we can improve the plant diet in our system. Then what we will do about our livestock system? Around 8.8 million people are dependent on the livestock animals. If we, rather than improving the welfare of these animals, we say we should transit our system to the agriculture. But I think we need to improve our welfare of these animals. And welfare is nothing but it is simple, and we need to give how we are acting in our daily life. It is simple. So this is accurately controlled reproductive events, cost effective, allow for ethical animal production, improve animal welfare. And this is natural approach to improve reproduction and can reduce the use of hormonal treatments. So there are a lot of research, as we know, in one of my study I have seen already sir has presented. So these are not so, but how we can give the contact, how we can efficiently manage the tools. So we can just organize, we can develop a fast line contact system, and that will allow the contact. We no need not to give a direct contact, we no need to give a laborer to a bull, so that it will handle daily. So that is how we can improve the animal welfare of these animals through these contacts. This will ultimately lead to the social well-being of these animals. So all these behaviors, as already sir has told and explained, I will not take time. But in my experiments, I have seen that if we are providing any such context, I have done lot of work on the calf side also. If we are giving these two contexts, calf along with the bull, this will organize the family system, and it will give animals a calmness, and they feel like pleasure, and they produce more. So basically this is what about the welfare of our animals. So I conclude that at a farm level, this system reduce this delayed puberty problems, postpartum ovarian activity will be improved, detection of estrus will be better, because no human or no technology can detect the estrus better than a bull. We are thinking that we are the masters and we can do anything, but bull is bad. No one can match with the bull in detection of estrus. Then it improves the silent estrus incidences, conception rate is improved. At the animal level, this will improve social buffering, calming effect, and it allows to express the natural behavior. So this is all about my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Dr. Aditi Chaudhary and Dr. Anupama Prasad to present muffler and bouquet to Dr. Sanjay Chaudhary with love and respect. And share your thoughts on One Health for All.
भारत का फोन क्या है कॉल कल कीपैड वाला से
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Vijaypal Singh sir and IGIB for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak on this much relevant topic, that is One Health for All. So before starting my presentation, I would like to know from all of you, have you ever heard this word, One Health? At the back? Can you? Okay. And can anyone explain in one word or one sentence what is One Health? Anyone?
in the health of globalization, health of the animal, human and environment.
Absolutely. So, to begin with my presentation, let's understand what is One Health. Like Sir just explained, it is all about animal, human and environmental health. The answer is actually very simple, but still many of us no longer see the link between animal, human and environmental health. And we often ignore the fact that a healthy individual cannot live in isolation. We all are independent on each other, right? So the climate crisis, ecological crisis, or the health crisis are all interlinked. So we need to think beyond our boxes, we need to think out the box when we talk about One Health, under the One Health approach. Now let's connect the dots, because animal, people and planet are one. We can understand this One Health with an example of factory farming, or we may also call it as an intensive animal agriculture. So in factory farms, animals are being raised in mass production for food for human consumption, like eggs, meat or dairy products. But it actually makes an adverse impact on our animal, human and environmental health. So let's understand how. So due to high stocking density and non-inclusion of animal welfare or biosecurity measures, our health get impacted. Not just our animal health also get impacted. So now it is crucial to understand the burden of factory farming on our human, animal and planetary health. So according to World Organization for Animal Health, 60% of existing human infectious diseases are zoonotic in nature. In addition, 75% of emerging infectious diseases in humans have an animal origin. Moreover, life production is globally responsible for 18% of human-induced greenhouse gas emission, which is much higher than our total global transportation. And over 3/4 of the world's antibiotics are used in food animals to speed up their growth. So the situation is really alarming. We need to take an action now. And now I would like to throw some light on the impact of factory farming on our human, animal and planetary health. So there is no denying fact that factory farming threatens our human health directly or indirectly. So, and intensive farming conditions promote zoonotic diseases in cattle, fish or poultry like avian influenza, tuberculosis or brucellosis, Q fever. And it has also been found in many research studies that the presence of heavy metals like lead or cadmium in the water due to factory farming can also lead to kidney and neurological disorders. And who can forget the devastating impact of COVID-19 on human life? Now the filthy conditions, filthy and the unhygienic conditions at the factory farms and the meat shops can be the rising concern for our food safety for consumers. And an irrational use of antibiotics as a growth promoters by the factory farmers can be the leading cause of antimicrobial resistance. Here I would like to give an example. A month back, we were celebrating World Prevention of Antimicrobial Resistance Week. So I took a session in one of the government hospitals where I found that, can I just ask how many of you belong to human health sciences here? Or all of you are from veterinary sciences? Is there anyone? Koi hai yahan par? Any human doctor, medical doctor, is there anyone? So it's really interesting to know that because being a part of human health fraternity, because I served in Delhi Government Hospital for more than 11 years, and before coming to animal welfare sector, I also thought that the antimicrobial resistance happening just because our own medical human health fraternity. We never thought of that in animal welfare sector, in animal industry as well, these antibiotics have been misused by the farmers, maybe ignorantly or maybe purposefully, because of profit-making business. So, according to Center for Science and Environment, in 2019, about 5 million deaths worldwide were estimated to be associated with antibiotic resistance. And it is also estimated by 2050 antibiotic resistance will kill 10 million people every year. So you can just imagine how dreadful it is for our human life. So like I've discussed, I've mentioned in my previous slide, there is a direct and significant connection between antibiotic resistance and food animals. Like these farmers are using international antibiotics for the prevention of diseases and for growth promoters, which can be transmitted through food or through soil or through water, and it can be transmitted to the consumers as well. But it is a collective responsibility to prevent this AMR from food animals, and we definitely can do this by adoption of animal welfare and biosecurity measures. And we must stop the antibiotic use for growth promotion. Now, the stress, injuries, and deprivation of 5 freedoms can impact or may lead to infectious diseases in animals, again, which can be further transmitted to humans. And definitely it is going to compromise our animal health. And factory farming is also responsible for climate change, biodiversity loss, air and water pollution, and it also emits greenhouse gas emissions like carbon dioxide, methane, or nitrous oxide. Now, to deal with such interconnected issues, it is very essential for us to adopt interconnected One Health approach at global, national, state, district, community, local, and at an individual level. Therefore, under One Health approach, we need to look at humans, animals, wildlife, and in an environment in totality, but not in a fragmented manner. So we all are surely going to be benefited with this One Health approach. We can curb the silent pandemic of antimicrobial resistance. We can reduce the risk of emerging and re-emerging zoonotic diseases. We can promote biodiversity and preserve coastal ecology. And now it is essential for us to integrate all the disciplines together with a vision to improve health for all. And all the stakeholders should come together, coordinate, collaborate, and communicate with a common objective for achieving health for all. There are many challenges which might come up while implementing this One Health approach, like there is a lack of coordination among ministries and government institutions at central and state level. There is an ineffective implementation of this particular approach at grassroots level. We do not have a mechanism or effective data sharing system at present. People are not aware, especially our fraternities, our medical sciences are not aware about or maybe sensitized about the One Health approach yet. We still work in silos. There are many laws, there are many acts which are there for animal health, for public welfare, for environment, but all the ministries are still working in silos. So we need to come together if we want to effectively implement this One Health approach. But definitely we can fix this. We need to change our relationship with our nature, with our environment, and with our animals. So the first thing would be to recognize the interdependence of human, animal, and environment. Because if right now we talk about animal welfare, so it is all about animals. We hardly talk about farmers' livelihood, we hardly talk about farmers' welfare. So it has to be an amalgamation of all these areas, then only we can achieve animal welfare or human welfare. We should promote communication and collaboration among representatives of diverse constituency to address these issues. From interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary teams across human, animal and environmental sector, we need to strengthen our means of information and technology to come up with one platform so that all the ministries can share their communication or data. And we can think of diversification of livelihood options as well. Now, why SAMAYU? So presently I am working at SAMAYU as a Director of Policy and Advocacy. So it's an organization, it's a movement of people and organizations who care about people, animal and planet to create a just and fair world for all. And at present, we are working with our 31 partner organizations at national and local level on the interconnected issues like animal welfare, food safety, public health, and environmental health. We have also launched our One Health campaign in the sector of poultry. We are working towards poultry welfare and farmer welfare all together. And we have also conducted 6 online and offline intersectional meetings, 6 leadership convening meetings in which more than 54 experts from different domains, from different disciplines have participated and shared their insights regarding the One Health approach. And we have also conducted few events, intersection events to spread awareness and sensitize the masses, the hospital staff, the schools regarding the food safety, AMR issues. And we are also getting support from our Member of Parliaments to implement this One Health approach at grassroots level. So to conclude my session, I would request everyone that we need to work together, not just as a veterinary science. I think we need to try join hands with our human health professionals and environmentalists as well, if we want to bring a change either for animals, for humans, or for environment. And besides this, I think I would also like to congratulate, applaud our government of India for launching One Health initiative as a pilot project in 2 major states, that is Uttarakhand and Karnataka. And our Pradhan Mantri Modi ji has also laid foundation of a National Institute of One Health in Nagpur. So that is all from my side. If you have any questions, queries, I would love to answer that. Thank you so much. Antona, now I would like to invite Dr. Rajendra Motiani and Dr. Sarozia Rapoor to present Buckler and Bouquet to Ms. Tanu Girotra with love and respect.
Yeah, sir, follow.
So good afternoon, everybody. So the next 20 odd minutes, we will speak about how genomics and informatics is transforming pathogen genomics, understanding about pathogens, and how we could actually understand very pertinent veterinary pathogens that we have come across with an example. So I'll give a brief introduction for 10 minutes, and I will be followed by Dr. Rahul Goyal, who is also in here, my colleague, who is going to very specifically talk about the lumpy skin disease outbreak, which is very important, I think, for the veterinary specialists today. So, without spending time, I should also state that all of microbiology that we talk about today, whether it is human or animal, is indebted to this one man, Anthony von Leeuwenhoek. What he invented was this machine that we see here, was otherwise called a handheld microscope. And using this microscope, he could observe organisms which were not observable by the naked eye. And that is central to all that we do in microbiology. And the field of microbiology is by essential looking at organisms which you cannot see by the naked eye. But in the last 1 decade, almost 400 years later after the discovery of the microscope, in the last 1 decade, we have this ability to understand organisms in a very different way, not really observe them under the microscope, but understand them by virtue of their genomic information. And to put in genomic information, every organism that we know today, whether it's humans, animals, bacteria, or viruses, would have the genetic material, and that's primary. And this genetic material is either DNA or RNA. And today, what we have is our ability to sequence this DNA or RNA at a scale which was not possible before. And this scale has largely come in the last 1 decade, thanks to technologies which has now reduced the scale, increased the scale and reduced the cost of sequencing nucleotides. So what essentially this would mean is a paradigm shift in microbiology. Contrary to the earlier processes of microbiology that would include isolation of pathogen and observing them under the microscope, like the examiner electron microscope out there, you could now reduce this altogether and make it much cheaper and much more efficient by sequencing the samples directly from the infected organism. Okay, this could be humans, this could be animals, and the idea is that we could identify the pathogen by virtue of the nucleic acids present in the sample, and also provide the genomic characteristics of the pathogen. And you can see that this is some rocket science that we're talking about. The answer is probably in here 3 years ago with the COVID pandemic. Right? You would realize that the COVID sequence, or the COVID virus sequence, the SARS-CoV-2 sequence is available within weeks of the outbreak, not months or years after the outbreak. And that is largely because the virus could be sequenced directly from the patient sample. And from this sequence, you could identify the virus, you could sequence the virus, you could compare the virus to other viruses known, and therefore we know that it was a new virus that we named as SARS-CoV-2. Of course, it's not just one virus, but you could now sequence tens of thousands, if not millions of viruses, all in one go, and that is thanks to technologies that are available today. And this is one such technology which Dr. Sridhar, my colleague, and Dr. Raichur in here had tested for the first time. This is called a COVID-seq approach. It was invented by Illumina, but this was tested for the first time in clinical samples in India. Right? And what this would mean is that you could sequence 750 samples to around 3,000 samples in one single go. And using this approach, which is now widely used across the world, you could now do genetic epidemiology of the virus. We talk about variants of SARS-CoV-2, and all these variants that we're talking about came through this kind of a sequencing approach where you could sequence tens of thousands of samples in one single go. And of course, we have seen in the last 3 years how this has contributed to public policy interventions which are evidence-based, not really talking about something like a hand-waving argument, but to say that given the variants, given the genomic sequence of variants, you could make very pertinent guesses and impact the policy in terms of lockdowns, in terms of double masking, in terms of vaccine failures, etc., etc. So this is an example of how genomics has actually impacted. And more reasons why we need to do such things is because now we realize that the standard of art for diagnosis is RT-PCR, and you could have now mutations typed in the RT-PCR primer or probe sites. That means that RT-PCR primers will stop working, and therefore you could characterize this, and more importantly, you could build better kits that are resistant to such mutational inserts. So you could have a variety of other outputs, not just sequencing the virus, but also making better diagnostics. And more importantly, it is not just genomics that we need to see in isolation, but also the integration of many other fields, like for example, the digital world and the digital information, and of course, the openness and collaboration that comes with sharing data across. And just to show just one example, pulled in just because we work on it and it's pertinent to the veterinary field, is the bird flu outbreaks that are happening across the world. This has been probably the worst bird flu outbreaks in the past few decades. Now, bird flu outbreaks are caused by avian influenza, the H5N1 in this period of time. And these are carried by migratory birds which follow each other's flyways. And these are seasonal migrations that happen across the world. And as the birds migrate, they take the virus to regions which did not have the virus before. So just genomics is not enough to look at pandemics, but also sharing this data and also additional information, like for example, the flyways and the migratory birds, which are fortunately available by a lot of volunteers across the world, enables this to be predictable, or in other words, essentially predict when bird flu is going to hit a particular region. It's going to create economic problems, etc., etc. So for people who are interested in contributing, there is a citizen science group called Epidemic Watch. I'll not delve deep into it, but I thank a lot of people who made this possible. And more importantly, you have now informatics available to such analysis. I'm sure a lot of you are not bioinformaticians, but now we have tools built so that we can automate most of these processes, and you will appreciate that when Dr. Dr. Raichur talks about the lumpy skin disease and how that process can be automated so that you can do your surveillance program in your lab without having an elaborate mathematics setup. I think I'll stop there and take questions, but before that, I'll also introduce Dr. Rahul. Rahul is my colleague at IGNOU and who has immense work done in the area of pathogen genomics, largely in the COVID space, and after COVID, many other newer pathogens that has been emerging in the country. So he will talk about the lumpy skin disease outbreak and the genomic epidemiology of the lumpy skin disease outbreak out of India. Go to you. I'll take questions in the end.
Thank you, sir. I would like to invite Dr. K.V. Patel to present bouquet and muffler to Dr. Vinod Sukaria with love and respect. Now I invite Dr. Rahul Goyal to be on the stage and present his thoughts on lumpy skin disease outbreak.
Thank you so much, organizer, for giving me the opportunity to talk about the lumpy skin disorder and our experiences around the genome sequencing of the lumpy skin disorder in last year. So today I am going to talk about the amplicon-based sequencing approach, which is a fast and scalable genome sequencing approach which we have adopted for the lumpy skin genome sequencing. So I will not talk more about the lumpy skin disorder because experts are in the hall who knows better than me for the lumpy skin disorders. So I will give a brief introduction. So it is a viral disorder which is caused by the lumpy skin disease virus, and it is one of the most infectious disease which ultimately, in severe cases, it ultimately leads to the death of the animal. So the first epidemic of the lumpy skin disease was seen in 1929 in Zambia, and around in 1949, around 8 million cattle were affected with the panzotic infection in South Africa. So recently in 2019, around 0.5 million cattle were infected in Bangladesh with the lumpy skin disease. So lumpy skin disease is caused by the lumpy skin disease virus, which is pox virus related to sheep and the goat pox virus. So the typical morbidity rate varies in between 10 to 20%. In some places, it was found to be more as a 45%. And the mortality rate was noted to be 1 to 5%. And the outbreak mostly occurs in during the hot and the humid seasons. So until 1980, this disease was largely confined to the Africa region, and the West Asian spread was started or noted in after 2015. And recently in 2019, there were outbreaks was found reported in India and some neighboring countries like China and Bangladesh. In 2020, this LSD lumpy skin disease outbreak was seen in Nepal, Bhutan, Vietnam, and Hong Kong. So in 2019, around 5.5 million cattle were affected in the Bangladesh with the lumpy skin disease. So the recent outbreak, which was occurred in 2020, in the middle of 2020, the first report was from state of Gujarat, where around 14 out of 13 districts were affected, and around 37 cases and 1,000 deaths were reported due to the lumpy skin disease. And in August, from the state of Rajasthan, around 25,000 cases and 1,200 deaths were reported in the state of Rajasthan. And by the end of December, this lumpy skin disease was spread across multiple states in the India, which which results in death of around 1.5 million cattle. So, if we see the genome of the lumpy skin disease, it's a double-stranded DNA virus, and it is around 151 kb in size, and it encodes for like 157 protein coding gene, and it shows the high degree of similarity in the amino acid and the sequence with the other mammalian pox viruses. So the ongoing lumpy skin disease was very interesting, and generally the lumpy skin disease, the mortality rate is around 1 to 5%. But in the current outbreak, the mortality rate was found to be 15% from the Rajasthan state, and this was the most impactful. And we thought to do the genome sequencing of the isolates which was collected from the Rajasthan. And we have used the shotgun library preparation and the sequencing approach to study the genetic epidemiology of this particular outbreak. And bioinformatic analysis was done on the 6 samples which was collected from the state of Rajasthan, and we have found that there were 47 unique mutations which was not present in any other genome sequences which was globally available. We have compared these sequences, these isolates, with the 2019 outbreak which was happened in India, and there were around 5 to 4 samples were available from that time. And these 47 mutations, the variations which we have found was unique to the current outbreak. And we have also done the phylogenetic analysis, and we have found that the 6 isolate from the present outbreak was forming the different phylogenetic clade, and this phylogenetic clade was defined by unique 47 mutation which was not found in any other genomes. And we have the samples which was collected from the Rajasthan state, we have two samples, like the samples which was collected from the nasal and the skin scab. So we have compared the sequence of both the nasal and skin scab from the same host, and we have found that there was additional mutation was found in the skin scab sample from the same host, and this was not present in the nasal swab. So it suggests the potential intra-host evolution of the virus, of the lumpy skin disease virus. So in summary, so the genome of lumpy skin disease virus from the present outbreak forms a distinct cluster and lineages. So it shows a very little similarity with the other genomes which were previously reported. And the cluster is defined by unique 47 mutation, out of which 14 were the non-synonymous and the 27 were indels. And the presence of the additional variant in the viral isolated from the skin scab as compared to the nasal swab of the same host suggests the potential intra-host evolution of the virus. So why we need the genomic surveillance? Genomic surveillance serves as the powerful tool to understand the genetic epidemiology and the evolution of the pathogen. It also helps us to understand the pattern of the particular pattern of the spread, and it can useful to learn the evolutionary history of the pathogen and can be potentially used to predict the future course of any outbreak. So, the approach which we have used was the hologenomic approach, and it's like every researcher previously used the hologenomic approach to sequence the viral genome collected from the animal. So that is the approach is not the cost effective and it is not the scalable approach. So in order to overcome the limitation of the metagenomic approach, we have created the assay which is known as the amplicon based sequencing assay for the lumpy skin disorder. So we have created the panels which will selectively enrich the lumpy skin disease virus apart from the other sample which is present in the particular specimen. So the approach which we have used is the COVID-6 approach. It's an adapted approach which we have used for COVID-6 surveillance. So we have received the samples, nasal samples and skin swab samples. After that, we have done the DNA isolation from the samples, and we have selectively enriched the LS-baby genome, and after that we have performed the library preparation on the template, which was the lumpy skin disease PCR amplified product. And after that we have sequenced the library on the Illumina sequencer, that is a benchtop sequencer, which is known as the ISAE. And after that we have used the bioinformatic analysis. This is the GenePy box, which is the tool which we have developed to ease the bioinformatic analysis. So mostly the bottleneck for the genome sequencing and analysis is the bioinformatics. So Bani from our lab, she has developed a tool which is known as the GenePy box. So it can be used to do the bioinformatic analysis around the LS-baby genome. So this approach is like it generally takes around 24 hours right from the sample to sequence, and it's easy to implement on any Illumina benchtop sequencer, and the scalability is up to the 24 samples. So we have used both the approaches to sequence the LS-baby genomes, and we have found that the average coverage which was found in the amplicon sequencing was 99.7%. When we have like compared it with the metagenomic sequence, it was 87.4. So here, like I just want to say that the metagenomic approach is the classical approach, and the amplicon approach which we have developed is the scalable, high throughput, and the cost-effective approach which we can use for the lumpy skin disease surveillance and other virus surveillance also. So with this, I just want to thank our collaborator, Dr. Lenin Bhatt and Ravi Israni, for sharing the data and the samples from of the lumpy skin disease samples, and my colleague Bani Jolly, Hari Vignesh, Vigneshwar Sentilve, and Dr. Vinod Skaria and Dr. Sridhar Shivasu.
So before we conclude, and if you have any questions, just I would like to thank Dr. Vinod Sakaria, but also to stimulate, because sometimes the facilities which are needed are not there. But we have these facilities you might have seen from A to Z, from the sample to the sequencer available in IGNOU, and probably we will see a small video, and then we will also, those who want to see where the genome sequencer is there, how it works, we will have the facility visit, and feel free to contact Dr. Vinod Sakaria. So once he started working on the LSD and shown this one, I also got very much interested to help our field veterinarian and our veterinary profession. He's a medico basically, and usually the veterinarian and medico are not very good in stat or these kind of things. If math comes and everybody have idea, apne samajh mein aata nahi. Yeah, this is the truth, man. But very rarely you have.
For their efforts in organizing this meaningful event. I will speak today a little bit about ISAE and what we do to promote applied behavior and welfare. And I hope that in this workshop you find these topics interesting and you would like to engage more. Okay, first I would like to start with a quick overview of the ISAE. The ISAE is an international society, scientific society founded 57 years ago in Edinburgh. It focuses on applied behavior science, also called ethology, related to animals managed by humans. It provides an international forum for science and education, and we have members from all around the world, such as academics, students, veterinarians, government employees, and scientists at NGOs. You may think, okay, but what is the link between ISAE and animal welfare? Well, I brought to you a very good analogy that Dr. Brown made between this and the yin. And she mentioned that applied ethology is the yang, and animal welfare is the yin. That means they are complementary in their role in understanding and improving the conditions of animals used and managed by humans. Okay? For applied ethologists, besides the curiosity to understand animal behavior, we always keep one aim in mind, that is to solve specific problems in real life to improve animal welfare. Indeed, 2 of 3 of the articles published in our journal, Applied Animal Behavior Science, in the past 10 years However, many of our ISAE members are still actively engaged. We are also currently collaborating with the OIE in areas related to animal welfare. Well, within the ISAE, we have the development office, and our office aims to promote and encourage members to promote applied ecology and ISAE activities in countries where the ISAE is unrepresented or underrepresented, particularly in Eastern Europe, Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and Latin America. Since 2017, thanks to the Open Philanthropy Project funding, we are able to support ISAE Congress attendance and relevant activities, regional meetings, and workshops on animal welfare. Our Assistant Development Officer is currently Yenjun Cho. She's from Taiwan. And we are working with ISAE regional secretaries and also the special country license officers under the development office. Vijay is the ISAE South and Central East Asia regional secretary, and we have officers in Bangladesh, Nigeria, Slovenia, and Brazil. Depending on future fundings, we would like also to extend this operation to cover more countries and regions. We have the Developing Countries Congress Attendance Fellowship, also called DCAF, which supports farm animal behavior and welfare scientists and relevant stakeholders from the government, industry, and NGOs to attend one-day pre-Congress workshop on animal welfare concepts that we organize, the Congress itself, and post-Congress activities, for example, farm visits. In 2017, for example, was our first DCAP, where we received 45 applications and 14 awardees from Brazil, Colombia, China, Ethiopia, El Salvador, Egypt, India, Iran, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Philippines, Vietnam. In 2018, happened the first animal behavior and welfare workshop in India, and it was supposed to happen the ISAE Congress in Bangalore in 2020, but because of COVID, it was cancelled, right? But we hope that in the future we can hold the Congress in India with the help of our now South and Central Asia Regional Secretary Vijay Falsing. In 2019, the second DCAF happened, and this time was in Bergen and Norway. Also 14 awardees received the award. They were from Argentina, Bangladesh, Chile, Colombia, China, India, Libya, Malaysia, Nigeria, Philippines, Sudan, Sri Lanka, and Taiwan. Something very interesting that happened in this specific award, many of us that already are working with the society met there, okay? Jen, the Assistant Development Officer, Yashim and Mabel, the country liaisons from Bangladesh and Nigeria, respectively, Segun, the African Regional Secretary, and myself, who I am currently the Development Officer. So these kind of events have really helped people from developing countries to engage more with the society and with the animal welfare and behavior research. We have also promoted and support other regional activities organized by local regional ISAE members. We as Development Office provide financial support, which is a bottom-up way to encourage more discussions on animal welfare within the local community. So some of the other activities that we have done as Development Office is in 2018 in June, we support travel funds to the East, West, Central Europe Regional 225 people from 14 developing countries to attend this online congress. And in 2021, in November, we supported 50 students from Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, and Uruguay to participate in the virtual annual ethology meeting in Brazil. In 2021, the Congress, the ISAE Congress, was online, and we made a pre-ISAE Congress for our DCAF virtual workshop, right? So our DCAF continued, right? We were able to fund 36 awardees from different countries. We prepared an online virtual workshop where we selected the diverse speakers from Brazil, Chile, India, Netherlands, and Sweden. So our awardees were able to interact with people from different places of the world. Our activities are ongoing. So in 2022, happened the first workshop on relevance of animal welfare in Nigeria, organized by Mabel, our country liaison, and Seoul, the regional country liaison, helped with that. Workshop held 100 participants in person and 300 online, and was held in 2 different regions of Nigeria, and got a lot of attention from the government officials on the issues of animal welfare. In June last year happened the first farm animal welfare workshop in Bangladesh, with more than 200 participants in person and online. This one was organized by Yashin, our country liaison from Bangladesh. Well, in September 2022 happened the 4th DCAF program, where this time was in person again in North Macedonia. We were able to fund 13 awardees from Bangladesh, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Egypt, India, Mexico, Nigeria, and Uruguay. So it was super successful. We have all the activities, pre-congress, post-congress farm tours. And this year is happening the 5th DCAF program. We are receiving right now applications for the ISAE 2023 Congress that is going to happen in Tallinn, Estonia. The deadline is March 1st, 2023. You can become part of the next DCAF, so please give a look in the ISAE website and also in the ISAE Congress webpage, where you can find the information. DJ also have the information, so you can also request it too. Before I finish, I want to share the many benefits of becoming an ISAE member and how explain how it can help you in applied ethology and animal welfare. So first, ISAE is a very friendly and helpful society. It increases your international scientific network. You can also, as a member, can get discounts in conferences. You can also use the free use of help with English SHEM for language correction to your manuscript. Access to database, to research for professionals, media promotion of your publications in applied behavior science. So for example, if you are a member and you have published something recently, you can send to the society, and the society will share it in different platforms that we have. We also have publication benefits for the special issues, and award for free online subscription on the Applied Animal Behavior Science journal. That is our journal. Okay? Well, we also have other resources on animal welfare. For example, the free forum for discussion related to animal behavior, applied ethology, and animal welfare. That is the animal welfare / workspace. You can join there. We have webinars every 2 weeks. Students and early career research most of the webinars are recorded and publicly shared. You can find the Animal Welfare Flag Workspace on YouTube, for example, to watch all the recordings that are there. Everybody that is interested are welcome to join the Animal Welfare Slack space and attend the webinar. It's totally free, right? If you have interest, please email Jen, our Assistant Development Officer. Here is her email, okay? Thank you very much for your attention. I really hope that you join the society and also enjoy the rest of the workshop. Bye.
So now, those of you, so we will divide in group and very quickly. How many of you are interested to see the sequencing facility? Please raise your hand. Oh, many. Okay, how many of you are interested in see zebrafish facility? Zebrafish, okay. So do we do one thing? Those who are interested in zebrafish facility, please follow Dr. Rahul, 50%. And those who want to see zebrafish facility, there is Dr. Purti, please see on the back side, follow her. Then we exchange zebrafish and sequencing. And those who don't want to do anything, they can have the tea outside. And we are meeting back here at 4:30. 5 minutes zebrafish. 5 minutes, sir, okay? 5 minutes zebrafish, 5 minutes our genome sequence.